Lumen point. Let's begin the breakdown. Bitcoin. You've heard the name, you've probably seen the crazy headlines, but how does it actually work? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and demystify the tech behind it. And we're not just going to throw a bunch of jargon at you. We're going to build it ourselves, right from scratch. So let's kick things off with a question that seems super simple, but really isn't. What does it even mean to have a Bitcoin? I mean, it's not a physical coin you can hold, and it's not some file sitting on your computer. The answer is actually way more fascinating.
And to really get it, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to invent our own digital currency, from the ground up. By running into the same problems the original creators did, we'll see exactly why Bitcoin is built the way it is. It's going to make perfect sense.
All right, Section 1, a simple digital ledger. Let's start with a really simple idea. Imagine you and your friends just want a way to keep track of who owes whom money. No cash, no banks, just a shared notebook or maybe a Google Sheet that everyone can see.
The rules for our little system are easy. 1, the ledger is public for everyone in the group to see. 2, anyone can add a new line, like Alice pays Bob $20. And 3, at the end of the month, you all settle up with real cash. It works perfectly, assuming, of course, that everybody is completely and totally honest. And right there, we've just found our first big problem.
Yeah, what's to stop Bob from just opening up that shared notebook and writing, Alice pays Bob $100, when Alice never agreed to it? In our current system, absolutely nothing. Our little ledger is super vulnerable to forgery. We need some way to prove a transaction is legit.
And that problem of trust leads us straight to our first big upgrade, digital signatures. This is a brilliant piece of cryptography that lets someone mathematically sign off on a transaction, proving they approved it in a way that is basically impossible to fake.
So here's the gist of how it works. Everybody gets 2 keys, a private key, which you keep totally secret, and a public key, which you can share with anyone. You use your secret private key to create a unique signature for a message. Then, anyone can use your public key to check that the signature is valid and that it could have only come from you.
Now, this is a really critical point. A handwritten signature looks the same every time, right? So it can be copied or traced. A digital signature is completely different. It's dynamic. It changes for every single message. You can't just copy the signature from Alice pays Bob $20 and slap it onto a transaction for Alice pays Bob $1,000. It just mathematically won't work.
And when I say impossible to fake, I mean it. The number of possible private keys is 2 to the power of 256. That number is so astronomically huge, it's hard to even comprehend. Trying to guess someone's private key would be like trying to pick one specific atom out of the entire known universe. It's just not going to happen.
Okay, problem solved. We've gotten rid of forgery. But, like in a game of whack-a-mole, fixing one problem creates another one. Now that a transaction is a self-contained, valid piece of data, what's to stop Bob from taking a legitimate, signed transaction and just broadcasting it to everyone again, and again, and again? This is the famous double spend problem.
The solution to this is a massive conceptual leap. We completely ditched the idea of settling up in cash later. From this point forward, the ledger is the currency. You can only spend money that you have already received on that ledger. So if Alice has only ever received a total of $100 in previous transactions, the system will reject any attempt by her to spend $101. The entire history of transactions is what defines who has what.
Okay, things are looking pretty good, but our system still has one giant point of failure. It all relies on a central place, like a website or a single person's computer, to hold the ledger. What if that gets hacked? Or what if the person running it decides to abuse their power? To make this truly trustless, we have to get rid of any central authority.
So the next step is a bit radical. Instead of one central master copy of the ledger, everyone in the network keeps their own personal copy. When you want to make a payment, you just announce it to everybody and they all update their own ledgers. This, right here, is the core idea of decentralization.
But this creates maybe the biggest problem of all. If thousands of people all have their own copy of the ledger, and transactions are flying around constantly, how do we make sure everyone's copy is exactly the same? How do we all agree on a single source of truth without some central boss telling us what to do? This is the fundamental challenge that Bitcoin was created to solve. And the solution proposed in the original Bitcoin white paper is absolutely brilliant. You don't trust a person or a bank or a government. You trust math. You trust provable effort. The rule is simple. The official, correct version of the ledger is whichever one has the most computational work invested in it. This idea is called proof of work.
The tool that makes proof of work possible is called a cryptographic hash function. You can think of it like a unique digital fingerprint for data. You can feed anything into it, a list of transactions, a document, a picture, and it will spit out a totally unique fixed-length string of letters and numbers. And the most important part, it's a one-way street. You can't take the fingerprint and figure out what the original data was.
So here's the puzzle at the heart of the system. To prove you've done work, you have to find a special number that when you combine it with a list of transactions and run it through that hash function, you'll get a fingerprint with a very specific property, like, for example, one that starts with 30 zeros. Finding this number is incredibly difficult. It's a brute force lottery that takes trillions of guesses. But, and this is the magic part, once somebody finds the answer, it's incredibly easy for everyone else to verify that it's correct.
This is how we build a secure, unbreakable history. Transactions get bundled together into blocks. Each new block contains its own proof of work. But, and this is key, it also contains the hash, that digital fingerprint of the block that came right before it. This creates a cryptographic chain. If anyone ever tried to go back and alter even one tiny part of an old transaction, its hash would change, which would break the hash in the next block, which would break the next one, and so on. The tampering would be obvious to the entire network instantly.
Okay, we've now invented all the essential ingredients. So let's connect all these ideas to how the real Bitcoin network actually works, day to day. And the people who are doing all of this computational work, we call them miners.
Now, mining has nothing to do with pickaxes. It's really a massive global competition. Computers all over the world are racing against each other, trying to be the first one to solve that proof of work puzzle for the next block of transactions. The first one to find the solution gets to add their block to the chain, and as a reward for all that work, they get to create new bitcoins out of thin air. This is how new currency is born into the system.
But with thousands of miners all over the world, how does everyone agree on which chain is the real one? It all comes down to one simple, elegant rule. The longest chain wins. Because it takes so much computational power to add a block, the longest chain is, by definition, the one that has the most work and energy invested in it. It's the most trustworthy version of history.
And these are the core rules of the game baked right into the Bitcoin code. The network automatically adjusts the puzzle's difficulty so a new block is found, on average, every 10 minutes. The block reward, that prize for miners, gets cut in half about every 4 years, which leads to a hard-capped total supply of only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. And transaction fees are just optional tips you can include to encourage miners to process your payment faster.
So let's come full circle, back to our very first question. To have a Bitcoin doesn't mean you possess a digital file. It means that there are entries on this massive global public ledger, the blockchain, that show currency being transferred to your unique address. Transfers that were verified by your digital signature and then locked into history by an unimaginable amount of computational work.
So in the end, the real innovation here isn't just the new kind of money. It's a solution to a fundamental problem of human cooperation, a problem of trust. It's a way for a huge network of complete strangers to agree on a single source of truth without needing to trust each other or any central leader. And that leaves us with a really powerful question. If this technology can solve the problem of trust for something as important as money, what else could we use it for?
Fuel your curiosity. Subscribe for the explanation. Stay for the knowledge.